What is owner finance for sale by owner? That's what that FSBO stands for. All right, if you're going to sell the property yourself, well, maybe you're going to finance it yourself. So I'm Ted Thomas, and I've been involved in alternative real estate for the past 30 years. Now, that alternative real estate is tax liens and tax defaulted properties. And a little later on, I'll tell you more about that. So when you want to learn about real estate, there's a lot of different strategies for buying and selling. I always tell people, you make your money when you buy, you keep your money when you learn how to sell. So I'm going to talk about some of those strategies and what is owner finance regarding your property if you're an owner, seller, and you're trying to sell it. So that's called FSBO. Now, FSBO stands for sale by owner. Let me say that again. FSBO, for sale by owner. Well, if you want to sell that way, you got a little bit of work to do. I'm not going to be negative on that. I'm positive on it. But a lot of people think, oh, I'm going to do this myself because the brokers don't do any work anyway. Well, I'm here to tell you, you go ahead and do it yourself because you need to do it yourself. You need to learn it, but hire the broker to help you do it because you're going to get a big lesson. Selling real estate is not so difficult as you think, but it's going to be a lot more difficult than most people make it out to be. So first of all, you make your money when you buy. You're going to keep your money when you learn how to sell. So learn how to sell real estate so you can keep your money. Now, there's lots of ways to do that. So for sale by owner is FSBO. Now, a lot of people like to use those abbreviations, but for sale by owner is important because everybody thinks this is going to be the easy way to do it. And it will become the easy way after you're doing it. But even though I do for sale by owner myself, I always hire a broker too. Why? Because they're going to expose you to other people that you don't know about. They're also going to make sure that you get the property on the MLS system. Now, that doesn't mean you have to hire a broker to do that. A lot of brokers will put the property on the multiple listing system for you for a fee. All right, now here's the key. It's very easy to buy. Now, we're going to buy at these tax auctions. We buy properties for 60, 70, 80% discounts. They don't have encumbrances. It's easy to buy. I'm going to tell you right now, it takes a genius to sell a property. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to talk about for sale by owner, and we're going to talk about financing. And why do we do that? Because the second most important thing I think you can do to sell a property is to make sure that you're going to do some kind of financing or at least make it available. So how do you sell property? First of all, you price it right. So we teach people to buy low, sell low. Secondly, think about financing. You're not only going to make the profit between what you buy and what you sell, but you're also going to make profit on the financing. So that's always a good idea. Now, let me say that again. It's easy to buy. It takes a genius to sell it. So I'm answering your question. Owner financing for sale by owner. Now, that sounds easy. It is easy, but wait till I tell you all the things that you're going to have to do. All right, that usually means if the seller is willing to use owner financing, that they're anxious to sell and they're a deal maker, and they probably will either do a lower down payment than other people will, and they'll probably do installment sales. So there's a lot to learn here. So let's just take a bite of this steak one bite at a time so that we don't choke on it. So there's a lot of stuff to learn here, and you're going to be a busy puppy, okay? Now, most people think the broker doesn't do anything. I'm here to tell you, if you're going to do this, especially your first few, plan on doing all the work yourself, all the things that we teach you to do, but also hire a broker, because they might just walk in with someone they know and boom, the deal is done. But you want to try to learn how to do that. Now, if you haven't figured out what it takes to sell a house, stay with me because you're going to get a lot of step-by-step process. Success always leaves a trail, and I'm going to leave a trail for you, and you can come back and watch the video again and again. So as I said, hire a broker if you can, but do the work yourself. Now, how are we going to sell this property? You have to have media. You can't just wait for people to come to you. If you do, you're going to go through the whole winter and the place isn't going to sell. Or you're going to go through the whole summer, whatever it is. So you need to think about Craigslist. You have to think about Facebook Marketplace. You have to think of all the electronic websites that you can. You're going to put an ad on there that says auction bargain, must sell, installment sale, will deal. You're going to have to do that kind of ad so you attract people to you. Now, you want to get on multiple sites. You want to get on the multiple listing service. You want to use Redfin. You want to use Zillow. You want to use Trulia. Every site that you can get on, you want to be there. Now, I didn't say just do one. I said do all of them, and do all of them at the same time. And yes, you might have to spend some money. So now you're saying, oh, I don't want to spend money on a broker, and I'm going to spend. Doesn't matter. There's plenty of margin in these properties every time. If you're buying for 10, 20, 30 cents on the dollar, and you're selling for 60 or 70 cents, you're way under the market. You got plenty of margin. You're going to need exposure. Your property is not pristine. Your property is slightly used and abused. So you want to get the thing sold. Now, it's especially good if you know how to make pictures and write ads. So if you don't know that, start using eBay and take a look. The people that put good pictures on eBay, it's amazing what they sell. They sell stuff on eBay because they're using pictures and all that, and they're writing things up. So any place you can put a picture, you can let people know about it. You want to let them also know your price is right, in other words, under the market, and significantly how much financing you're willing to provide. So if you'll make an installment sale, you're going to see a lot of activity that you wouldn't otherwise see. All right, so financing makes a difference, the price makes a difference, and how much media that you use makes a difference. So you're not going to get major traffic without buying media. You're going to have to buy media. So owner financing is beautiful for a number of reasons. One, it accelerates the sale. So the for sale by owner accelerates the whole process by talking about installment sales. Now, when you make an installment sale, that's not traditional financing. Traditional financing at a bank, the people have to go through good FICO scores and have to go through a process of getting approved. However, those loans are approved at 3 and 4%. Those are great loans. The people we're selling to aren't going to get a great loan. They're going to pay 8, 9, 10%, and maybe more. You're going to get that difference between the 4% and the 10 or 12%. So you're going to make money in the financing. So you're going to make money buying low and selling, and now you're going to make money in the financing. So nothing wrong with all that. It's all perfectly legal. It's ethical. People do it all the time. You could have a mortgage on a house if you want. You could do a trust deed. You could use a contract. I tell people to use a contract because if the people don't pay, you can get them out of there relatively quickly. All right, now the seller, what do they want? They want the lowest price possible, and they want the lowest down payment, because these are people that are getting restarted. They might have been through a foreclosure. They might have been through a bankruptcy. Maybe they lost their job. I don't know what happened to them, but I can tell you they probably got a bad FICO score. So you're going to have to look at how long they were employed and whether that job is a pretty good one. All right, now, I said it before, and I'm going to say it again. Your properties, when you're selling, you bought at a tax auction. I'm going to suggest that most of them, not all, most of them are going to be slightly used and abused, requiring some minor fix-up and cleanup. All right, now if they're junk, they're junk. Junk will always be junk, so don't buy junk. Don't dream that you're going to fix up junk. It's not going to happen. You don't have enough time. You want to buy decent properties. You want to make sure that you buy them way below the market. You want to be able to sell them below the market. You want to be able to use installment contract, and you're going to use as much media as you possibly can buy. The media is important. If you don't let people know, you're not going to sell the property. All right, so is a broker going to do that? So what if they do that themselves? You don't care how much help you get. If a broker brings you a deal, you want to make sure you do business. So I say hire a broker and do it all yourself. Now, there's nothing wrong with both of you working on it, because he or she is going to get paid anyway, so they like all the help. Now, the brokers want to spend money marketing your property. Very rare they'll spend any money. So you need to use all the sources I've talked about, from Craigslist to eBay to Zillow to Trulia to MLS, everything that you can do, including ugly signs on the property and including signs in the neighborhood. Keeping in mind, anything in the neighborhood, be sure and pick it up before the end of the day. All right, does that keep you from letting people in the neighborhood know by putting out flyers and things like that? Don't put them in the mailbox. You're going to hear from the post office about it. You don't want to do that. You want to get the flyers on the front door. Now, a little about life. Life is 80-20. Everything that happens is 80-20. Everyone you are going to meet is 80-20. Everything you're ever going to do is 80-20. There's 80% of the people, especially brokers, are sitting at the coffee shop from somewhere between 10 in the morning and 4 in the afternoon. The 20% is out knocking on doors. Why are they knocking on doors? Because they want to make deals. You've got to find the 20% that's going to do the work. You're going to have to be part of the 20% to do the work. You're going to make your money doing a little bit of work, and the smarter you get, the less work that you're going to do. So 80% is sitting at Starbucks, not doing anything. You're going to be the 20% knocking on doors, and you've got to figure out that, is that broker doing that? So sign a short-term agreement. Don't give them a year or 6 months. Say, look, I'll see how you do over 60 days. They're going to say, no, they won't do that. Well, then let them say, no, find another broker. A broker that's going to be active is going to get things done quickly. The point is, selling the property yourself is okay. So for sale by owner does not necessarily mean you're a cheapskate. For sale by owner does not necessarily mean you won't pay a broker. Many brokers will call you right away and say, do you want help? And if you say no, you're crazy. You want to interview them and see what they can do for you. You want as much exposure to this property as possible. Media attracts exposure. You don't want to go a day not on Craigslist. You don't want to miss Zillow, Trulia. You don't want to miss Redfin. All of those you want to be on all the time. Craigslist is there, but you have to keep renewing. That's going to be your job. The broker isn't going to get that job done. They're not going to do that tedious work. You should be motivated to sell this property so you can buy another one. If you can buy properties for 10, 20, 30 cents on the dollar, how many do you want? Well, you're not going to want many if you don't get this one sold. So let's get it sold and go on to the next one. And if you're doing installment sales, think of the income that you're going to get. You're going to make the deal once, and you might get income for the next 10 years. All right, now I have people that advertise on television. There are people that do ads on the radio, people that do massive signs like billboards. There's people that do hundreds of bandit signs. There's many, many ways to sell. You must have media or you're not going to sell. So what is the message I'm giving you? The message is owner financing is, yes, a big possibility for sale by owner. Okay, in addition to that, you're going to have to market the heck out of it. So your marketing should tell everybody it's a bargain and should tell everybody that you're offering owner financing. If you don't let them know, they're not going to show up. But you'll increase your traffic 20, 30% just by telling the market that you have installment sales and that the owner will finance the property. All right, what do buyers want? It's really simple. They want the same thing you want. They want a deal, they want a low down payment, they want an installment sale, and they want to get it done quickly. They don't want to go to a bank because they've probably already been rejected there. They don't want to go to a bank because they have to go through a month of loan approval, then they have to go through a home inspection. You're getting the idea. So what they want to do is they're going to appraise it, you're going to appraise it, they're not going to go wait for an appraisal. You're going to be able to do all this on the hood of your car in days if you use enough media. If you don't use the media, you're going to have a problem. So owner financing is important. So if you're going to be for sale by owner, you need to understand the financing and you have to understand the marketing. The marketing is just as important, but number one is always price. The previous owner walked away from this property, so it's probably not pristine. So make sure that your price is under what the going market is. So you want to offer a special price, you want to offer the for sale by owner, and you also want to make sure that you're in the media. It's going to be you, and it's going to be up to you to make sure all that is done. All right, now who are you going to use to do that, to help you? If you can get a good broker to work for you, fine. If you don't have a good broker, get a coach and have a coach help you. Once you've learned this business, you can do it for the rest of your life. It's been around for 200 years, but you have to learn the step-by-step process. Are you going to be great at it the first one? Well, you'll be a lot better if you have a broker helping you than if you don't have someone helping you. I'm going to tell you this, and if you listen, it'll be worthwhile. Don't take advice from people that haven't done it. Don't take advice from people that haven't done it or people that don't have big net worths. People that have big net worth got that way because they ask questions and they know what they're doing. So ask yourself, are you going to continue working for wages like you're doing now? Or do you want to have a lot of money in your life? Well, if you want to have money, this is a business where you can acquire good capital goods, you can resell them into the marketplace, make installment sales, and have payments for the next 10 years or 20 years. So understanding financing is a good start. I'm telling you, you can do this. Thousands of people have done it before you. Now, before I leave, I want to tell you two things to be cautious of. One, when you go to the auction, don't buy a property unless you've had boots on the ground. I know there's people say you can do it online. I do it online, but I go and check the property before I do it. Why? Because there could be a fire. There could be a windstorm. It could be next to a chicken farm. There could be something wrong in the area. So I want to make sure that I've looked at that property, and you want to do the same thing. All right, number two, you want to be thinking about what your selling strategy is going to be when you're buying. So that's called exit strategy. If you don't have an exit strategy, for goodness sake, don't buy it. Because you're going to get there, you're going to keep bidding, and you're going to keep bidding it up, and pretty quickly the bid's going to be over your head. If that bid gets over your head, wow, how are you going to get rid of it? Yeah, you're not going to be able to get rid of it. You're going to have to take a loss. My name is Ted Thomas. Go right below me. There's a free gift.